Why hello boys and girls, and this is another episode of Cooking with Mr. Rob. Well, I'm excited to cook with you today because we have something to celebrate. This week, we're going to celebrate a birthday, a very important birthday, and I bet you know what birthday, whose birthday that is. That's the birth of Jesus, a birthday that changed the entire world. And as you are celebrating the birth of Jesus this week with your family, I thought we could put together a birthday box for you. Birthday in a box, as I call it. So me and Mr. Andy put this box together for you. And in that box is a cake mix, some icing, some sprinkles, some cupcake holders, all the things you need to make a birthday cake for Jesus as you celebrate his birth on December 25th. Well, I'm looking forward to making a cake with you and sharing my tips and tricks to making a great birthday cake. We're going to make cupcakes together. Here we go. Alright, when we make cupcakes together, one of the things that I like to do is to make the cake just a little bit denser, so I substitute some ingredients. So, when your cake mix calls for water, I use milk instead. When it calls for oil, I use butter instead. So our mix calls for a half a cup of oil, so I would use 1 stick of butter, that is a half a cup. It calls for 1 cup of water, so I use 1 cup of milk. And then we use the eggs as it says. Some recipes add more eggs, but I think that makes it a little too heavy. So I keep the eggs just as is. Now, when you're making the cake itself, we add all of the wet ingredients first. At least that's just how I like to do it. But first, we have to crack the eggs. Now, when you crack an egg, you don't want to crack the egg like this because it's harder to open and it gets everywhere. So I like to crack the egg down inside like this. And I crack it in a bowl first. That way I don't get any eggshells inside of my cake batter. So I crack it, and then I have the ability to kind of do it with one hand, just like that. You may need 2 hands to do that. And we'll do a second egg. There we go. And a third egg for this recipe. Oh, that one's a little harder. We get it open. There we go. We got our 3 eggs. Now, I don't have any eggshells in there. I'm going to add my wet ingredients first to my bowl. So we've got our 3 eggs. We've got our cup of milk. I've already poured that. So we've got our cup of milk in here. And then instead of oil, I've got the butter. And I've melted the butter, by the way. You melt it first. And I poured that in there. Alright, we're going to give this a mix here in just a second. And I'll be right back with you. Now, one of the things I want to remind you is that after you crack those eggs, you want to make sure that you've washed your hands afterwards because you get that egg goop and any of that bacteria on you. You don't want it on you. So wash your hands, okay? The next thing we're going to do is we're going to mix the wet ingredients. So I've got everything in my mixer, got everything attached. Now you may have something that you just hold like this, and so that's fine. It works just as well. So I'm going to turn it on, and we're going to let this mix for like 20 seconds. Alright, now that's ready. Now we've got our cake mix that I got for you in the box. And I thought funfetti, that's the perfect for birthday, but it's a holiday funfetti. So, you know, it is Christmas time, and so we're celebrating with a funfetti Christmas cake for Jesus' birthday. So I'm going to add that in. Now, I like to add my cake mix in while the batter's going. And we're going to let that go in. I'm actually going to take it out of the box and mix it in like that. I'm surprised I didn't get that everywhere. Now, here's a key thing. You've got to mix this for 2 minutes. Here we go, countdown, 2 minutes. Do the 2-minute dance. Smells like a cake mix. Love it. We can clean up our mess while we are mixing our cake batter. Clean up the mess. I knocked over the milk and put it back in the fridge. Alright, boys and girls, I think that's about 2 minutes. We're going to turn this off. Now, the reason that you mix it for 2 minutes is because you want air to get into the cake mix. The air helps it rise and spreads out the batter a little bit, so it nice rise in the cupcake. Alright, we're ready to get everything into the cupcake tins. And I've got it separated from the mixer and the beater. I promise I didn't lick the beaters. You really shouldn't do that because it's got raw eggs in it, even though it's very tempting to do. Alright, now I've got something here that you may not have, and that's okay. I've got a scooper, like an old ice cream scooper. It makes it really easy to scoop things with. And you can just use like a tablespoon you've got in the kitchen drawer or whatever, but this is what I use. And I just scoop it out to kind of something even. Now I've given you all like holiday cupcake holders, but I just have white ones left over, so I'm just going to put that in there. And we're going to scoop all these out evenly, just like so. And you should be able to do about 24 cupcakes, give or take some, depending on how much batter you put in each one. We've got our cupcakes ready to go in the oven. Now, I'm going to tell you that the box says to bake for 20 or so minutes. I'm going to only put them in for about 12 minutes because I think cupcakes cook really fast, especially in my oven. And then at the end, I'll teach you how to test to see if they're done or not. Make sure you have some kind of hot pad or rag that you have so that when you put it in the oven, you don't touch anything hot. I've got the oven set to 350 and it's preheated to 350. Alright, timer 12 minutes, go! We are back, and I think it's almost time. Oh, there is the buzzer. Let's check the cupcakes. Oh, I think they look pretty good. Now, I'm going to show you something, how I know these are done. See when I press it and it springs back? You just want that to start to happen when your cupcakes are done. See how that one still kind of holds back just a little bit? That's perfect. You want them just a little underdone rather than overdone because they'll still keep cooking in the just by the heat. So we're going to take these out. We're going to let them completely cool, all the way cold before we put any icing on them. I'll let you know that I cooked mine for about 16 minutes, so I added an additional 4. 12 plus 4 is 16 minutes. Your oven may be a little different than mine, but it's always a lot less than what the box says. Alright, I'll see you in a bit. Alright, boys and girls, our cupcakes are cooled, and we've got our Funfetti vanilla frosting with some sprinkles that they included in the can. And I'm going to teach you how I would ice these cupcakes. So, take the lid off. We're going to take off the foil. And then I'm going to get just a little bit on a knife, like a butter knife, something simple. Nothing with sharp edges, of course. And we're going to take this and we're just going to spread it around the edge. Now, you don't want to get into the cupcake because that will make all the crumbs kind of come up into the cupcake icing. And you don't really want that. So I would just put a little dollop in the center and then kind of just spread it around like so. And there you go. A simple way to ice. Now you could also put it in a Ziploc bag, cut just a little bit off of one edge, put all this icing in there, and then you could squirt it out on top like that. Or if you had actual piping bags like a cake decorator does, they have special tips and make it really pretty. Now the last thing we're going to do is we're going to take those sprinkles and we're going to take just a few. I've washed my hands, don't worry. And we're going to just sprinkle on top just like that. Try not to make a mess. It's always good to have something underneath you, but for the camera, it's going to be messy for me. There we go. We've got a Christmas cupcake just for a birthday party for Jesus. Well, now, boys and girls, we have our cupcakes made. We're ready for a birthday party, and that's why we wanted to put together this birthday in a box for you so you could help celebrate the birth of Jesus. And you know, at birthdays, it's not just about birthday cake, but it's also about gifts. And I want to read you from Matthew chapter 2, verse 11. On coming to the house, they saw the child with his mother Mary, and they bowed down and worshiped him. And that's about the three wise men, or the three kings that came to visit Jesus. They came with gifts, but they came to worship. And that's what I want you to remember, is that yes, birthdays are fun, birthdays are full of gifts, birthdays have cake, but why we're celebrating the most important birthday this year, it's about celebrating and worshiping Jesus. I hope you all have a Merry Christmas. Love you all. See you soon. Bye.